World Cup groups J, K, and L. My name's Corbin from the Parlay Club, and I've got the best bets and the plays that books do not want you knowing about. As always, drop a like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. This is our video breaking down groups J, K, and L. This is the last part that I've mentioned. If you want to go check out any of the other videos where I preview the other groups in, I think it's now 4 videos, and then a whole tournament preview where we go over winners, top goal scorer, golden boot, all of that fun stuff. It should all be in a playlist on my channel, or you could just flick through the videos. And let's get right into it. We're doing Group J, so we have Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. Let's start with Austria here, who are the second favourites for this group. I mean, if you've watched the previous videos, it's just really a reoccurring theme for me on with some of these teams with Austria. The aging is a huge side of it. I think all their key players are aging significantly, and I think they're probably battling Algeria for second and third here. I don't think they're really troubling Argentina, which we will get to. I think they really have a severe lack of quality, and I think it's epitomized and shown by Arnautovic still starting as their striker. Really, he's their only real hope for goals. It feels like, and he's 37 now. You look at some of the other players: Sabitzer 32, Alaba 33. It's very much the same squad with very little depth or rotation. And as I've mentioned, the conditions are going to be brutal out there in the United States, particularly where I think they're playing most of their games. I think that's just going to hurt their fitness, morale, all of that stuff. And if you haven't got fresh people with the same quality, or if not close quality, to bring off the bench, I think it's really going to hurt them, particularly due to the fact Austria play a really high pressing. So for non-football fans, this is where the opposition have the ball, let's say, in their own half, and the whole team pushes up to try and win the ball back higher up the pitch, as opposed to what some of the lesser teams do, where they sit behind the ball and try and soak up pressure and counter attack. Again, playing 3 games in those conditions with that little squad depth, with that style, just to me sounds like a recipe for disaster. I think under 5.5 goals is really good for them, because even if they make it through, they'll be playing. I think it's Spain, as I worked out in the knockout stages, if they qualify second, and if they finish, or is it third? I forgot which way, but basically I had it as they're playing Spain. So under 5.5 goals at -120 sounds pretty good on a team that I think is going to look very leggy very quickly. On to Argentina, group winners at -265. I think this is amazing, but they do have their flaws. So obviously they won the World Cup 4 years ago. You 4 years as a huge time in football. You cannot just, like, I've seen so many people go, "Oh, they've got Messi. They won the last World Cup. They're going to win it again." I couldn't disagree with you more. I don't think they're as motivated now that they've got Messi his World Cup. I think they're still motivated. Don't get me wrong. They don't want to come here and lose or get embarrassed. But I don't think there's that same, like, to die on the pitch for Messi to get him his World Cup kind of thing, because they've achieved that, and all their squad is aging as well, as we'll get to. I just also fundamentally don't think they're as good or young as they were 4 years ago, obviously. Messi's obviously still their key piece all over the pitch, building, scoring, assisting, everything. But does he have the legs to play 3 games that quickly? I think he'll probably play maybe like 1.5, maybe 2, stretching it, coming off hopefully once they've wrapped up the game. I don't have them getting that far in the tournament due to the factors that I've just mentioned. I love Alvarez, their striker who used to play for City. He's obviously now at Atletico. But again, I think he's injured or just coming back. Again, they're managing Messi's minutes. It's not the ideal circumstances for them. Their defense can be shaky, but seems to be doing much better of late. They probably going to play Otamendi and Romero, so two of what I would say are the rashest, kind of most reactionary kind of defenders, which sometimes has its benefits if they're on song, but if they're off it, can lead to chaos. I'm a big fan of Nico Paz, who plays for Como. Really hope he gets some minutes, particularly with Messi, Alvarez injuries slash resting them. Um, they should be far more suited to the conditions. Obviously, coming from South America, quite a few of their team have played in the like Messi's playing in the States. DePaul, if he plays, is still playing in Miami with him. I haven't watched much, but interested to see how Almada, I think, gets on. He's the likely replacement for Di Maria. He's also from Atletico, so if him and Alvarez can play, it's a good similarity and link up. I think they win this group, but hard to predict how far past the group stage they go. I mean, if they top the group, they should get quite a bad third place team. It's then that's in the round of 32, I want to say, if I remember. Then it's like round of 16 quarterfinals. I think they go out somewhere in that kind of period. But I think minus 265, this one here, the group winner, is good. I mean, the books are basically telling you their main competition is Austria, and I think they beat Austria, and I think they've got far more quality, particularly against the two lesser teams, to break them down. Which leads me on to who have I got next? Algeria. Um, they have some potential. As I said, they're probably Algeria, probably the ones fighting Austria. Um, just not convinced by them. They have some players I like. I mean, Mares is 35 now. Aurora. I always mess his name up. Used to be a French player, played in Lyon, is now Algerian. They've got Guri and Ait Nouri. So they have quality in some areas, but the drop off into some of these other positions is quite stark, I think. I think it's really hard to know what we're going to get from them, having played subpar opposition for some time, although they did beat Netherlands in a friendly, but then they also lost to Nigeria in the second game of the Africa Cup of Nations, which they only got to that second round by scraping through against Congo in extra time the game before. Again, I think that all comes down to the game with Austria, who I think also have the better manager and the tactical adjustments. I could quite easily see a world where they almost, I don't want to say they throw away the Argentina game, but they're not probably going to expect to take points there, so they might rest some players, play a less pressing physical style, and try to save themselves to beat Algeria and Jordan, which would obviously make them qualify in second place. Onto Jordan, they play a three/five at the back formation. Again, it's hard to know what we're gonna get from a team like this. Shouldn't on paper be anywhere as good as Algeria and Austria. Again, they're a team that are going to sit behind the ball. They're going to counter attack in wide areas with the wide forwards and the wing backs pushing on. This is their first tournament experience. So again, it's all very much new to them. They lost two friendlies easily in the last month or so to Colombia 2-0 and 4-1 to the Swiss. You can't put too much on friendlies, but it just kind of, in these preparation games, you can just kind of see the level. So I think Austria comfortably beat Jordan. Argentina comfortably beat them, and it's just probably a competition to see if they can get anything against Algeria. Three plays that I love is Argentina to win this group, Argentina to finish first, and Jordan to finish last is only minus 120. Who knows where they've come up with that price? Because Jordan are minus 370 to finish bottom, and where is it? Argentina are minus 265. I think it's all very correlated. I think Algeria will have too much for Jordan, but again, I just it's you can even get. I don't think they have it on DraftKings, but you can get Jordan not to qualify at minus 330. I don't I don't see how that makes sense. So I'm saying they lose to Argentina and lose to Austria. Even if they beat Algeria, uh, they might nick a 1-0, let's say, or like by one goal. That's probably not going to be enough to qualify as the third best team. As I've mentioned, so many of these teams, there's a really bad team that I would expect them to pump goal difference against. I don't see Jordan getting the goal difference even if they get a win. So I love those three pieces on that. As well, obviously, I think Argentina and Austria go and win these first games. Honestly, what's the parlay of those both together? minus 116. I mean, you don't get much better than that. I'm really surprised at some of the books' value. If this was just, I know that it's a national team game, but if you had these two club teams playing each other, as in the same individuals, but they were club football, not international, I think Argentina are minus 500 at least, quite honestly. So, yeah, I like those two to go together. Group K, we have Portugal, DR Congo, Uzbekistan, and Colombia. And you have Portugal at minus 200 to win the group. I love Portugal as a team. I think they have a really good goalkeeper. They have strong defensive experience with top players like Diaz, Cancelo, Mendes, who's the best left back in the world. Midfield is up there with the Spanish for best midfield, where you got Bruno Fernandes, João Neves, and Vitinha. Obviously, those last two play for PSG and are fresh and had a great year. But it's their front line where all the questions are. Rafael Leao is probably going to start on the left wing, but I've never been really convinced by him. He always seems to struggle in the big games and the tournaments. Bernardo Silva will probably play right wing, and I love him. I love what he's done for my club at City, but he's not a right winger anymore. So I think that's going to harm them. And then Cristiano Ronaldo. I've seen people mention him for Golden Boot. I've seen them mention that he's going to carry Portugal. I will love to be surprised, but I think he is incredibly washed now. I think he's lost any kind of speed he had. His confidence seems to be low. I think he's really holding Portugal back, and I think that's going to be a huge decision for Martinez, who I have in himself as a really poor manager. But I feel like he has to start João Felix and Gonçalo. I can never say his name. Ramos, the Portuguese striker, but inevitably I think he will cave to the pressure. I mean, this team is basically Ronaldo, and what sucks for them is the age of some of those players. This will probably be, if they had Ramos, I give them a serious chance of making quarterfinals, semi-finals. To be honest, I think they still have way too much for this group, and I think minus 200 is still a great piece, but I don't have them. I think they'd just be better off getting rid of Ronaldo, quite honestly. Colombia, they have a really solid group of players, but again, it's hard to know what to expect from them. They have the likes of Sanchez at centre back, who hasn't been great, but should suffice in these kind of games against Congo and Uzbekistan. And obviously, he'll have the pace advantage and physicality, I think, to deal with Ronaldo when they play Portugal. They've got the likes of Munoz and Lerma from Palace, Arias, who has been in good form for Colombia but didn't do it in Wolves, just kind of shows you the level. James Rodriguez, I mean, I'm a huge fan of James Rodriguez. He seems to turn up at these kind of tournaments all the time. Can he do it another time at 34? I think fitness is a huge concern. They'll have to manage his minutes. And then Luis Diaz on the left wing is probably their big hope and threat, that they hope that his pace really gets it through. I think they're comfortably second in this group. I think they beat, or they have beaten Jordan and Costa Rica in friendlies, but that's as expected. They also lost to France and Croatia, which isn't awful, but kind of shows, I think it really shows their level in kind of that mid tier. I think they beat the likes of Congo and Uzbekistan and probably lose to Portugal. You look back at some of their further results in the last year, from last year. They've got some decent results. They went 9 unbeaten with a few decent results, but it's kind of hard to tell. You can get them actually. Have they got it hit at plus 100 to finish second? And I think that is a great piece because, as I said, I think they lose to Portugal, and I think they have more than enough to beat Congo and Uzbekistan. Do they have? Again, this kind of tells you the whole story. You can bet Colombia to finish second at plus 100, or you can take Portugal to finish first and Colombia second at the same price. So yeah, that doesn't really make an awful lot of sense. Then we have DR Congo, who have some experienced players that I hope some people will recognize, likes of Wan-Bissaka and my pronunciation, Mbema, Twanzebe, Vissa, Bakambu, but these players are just kind of, they're like okay, steady players. They really lack real quality individuals, particularly in midfield and attack. Their defense is acceptable, I would say. Couldn't find much info on them as a team. It seems they had to isolate due to Ebola fears, but they have played two like warm-up friendlies where they drew 0-0 with Denmark, who didn't qualify, and Chile, who they lost 2-1 to, who also didn't qualify. Again, shows their level. It's between them and Uzbekistan for third and fourth. And my eyes, it's comfortably Portugal and Colombia ahead of them. And then finally for this group, Uzbekistan, another subpar team making their first appearance. Their only recognisable player is Kusanov, who plays again for City. No attacking talent, poor competition. I've got them finishing in fourth. I would go Portugal first, Colombia second, Congo in third, and Uzbekistan in fourth. Uh, Quickly want to mention what we got up for clients. These are the best bets. I've basically taken all my research, extra research, everything I know, and these are the best plays that I recommend from a variety of sports, not just the World Cup, not just futures matches. Between each match day, there'll be extra plays. You've got golf, tennis, Wimbledon coming up in less than 3 weeks, I want to say now. So yeah, really, it's the best plays across multiple sports that I give to you, and you bet, and hopefully we win money together. The results kind of speak for themselves. We're up over 140 units now. I think in profits, I'll have to update the spreadsheet. I'm slightly behind, but you can use promo code WORLDCUP, all one word, for $15 off this monthly subscription, which takes it down to $55. Which, again, with the month that we've got coming up with Wimbledon, World Cup, and then all the extra sports, golf, motorsport, all of that stuff, really, if we're not profiting at least 10 units, I would be entirely shocked, given we've made 140 in the last kind of like 5-6 months or so. Obviously, you don't need to be a big better with those kind of returns. $10 betters per point are up $1,300. So you don't need to be some. You see these people betting hundreds or thousands on a play. You don't need to be doing that, quite honestly. If you want to see what kind of bets that I make, what kind of my style is, I would say it's quite unique. Given my name as the Parlay Club, I love my parlays and picking some of the safer routes, but not necessarily. Futures have also worked incredibly well. If you want to come to my link me, which should be in my description and in the top comment, then you'll be able to come in and see all the plays that we've had, wins, losses, how much we made, how much we lost on certain plays, and overall what we're at. Try to be as transparent as possible. So any questions about any of that, if you want any help, advice, comments, all of that fun stuff, you know where to reach me. Let's get right back into it with the last group of this video and series. We have England versus Croatia and Ghana versus Panama. Let's go with Croatia. Again, similar running theme, another heavily aging team, but they're quite solid all round, particularly in defence and midfield. I do think they will struggle going forward, but should still have enough for the likes of Ghana and Panama, but probably not England, although I could see that game being quite tight due to England more than Croatia. They've only got 2 losses in the last 12, and that was to Brazil and Belgium. I feel like they're going to be able to control games with that midfield, and I think they comfortably finish in runner-up spot, which again is plus 100, which just seems crazy to me. I wonder if they at plus 115 for England to finish first and Croatia second, I think is a pretty good bet. Which leads me on to England. And everyone knows I'm very critical of England. I think they're always hugely overrated, and I'm not a fan of them in the slightest. However, they are a really solid team, particularly in defence and midfield. I always feel like they struggle to press and dictate and really stamp their foot on games, which they should do given the quality. I feel like the conditions are going to be a huge factor for them and may limit their pressing even more. You see some of the training camp footage and the players look out on their feet. It's been a very long season because the Premier League don't have a winter break, and obviously some of them played. It's like Premier League into FIFA Club World Cup into Premier League into this. Like they've just had no break. So I think rotation is going to be key for England and keeping players fresh. Harry Kane is the important part for England point of view. I think I recommended him for top scorer for the whole tournament, top Bundesliga scorer. I think it was minus 175 in the first video I did in this series. I think they should win this group quite easily, but I don't have them winning the tournament or getting even to the semi-finals or finals. Them versus Croatia in this first game, to me, screams like a 1-0 or a 1-1. I was just going to look what the total. Minus 140 on under 2.5, but I really like this under 3.5 at minus 390. Neither team is free scoring. First game, edgy, tension. This game, I think, decides who finishes first and second. So you could almost, I think it could well easily be a draw or England nick it. I don't think Croatia will, but wouldn't be surprised given England. Who knows what team they're going to turn up with? They're so inconsistent, particularly at major tournaments. But they have a new manager, obviously, in Tuchel. He's made some big calls on the squad. We'll see. We'll see how it shapes up here, but out of all the group winners, England is probably the one that I'm least sure of when you can get the likes of Argentina and Portugal, like I've already mentioned. We'll do Ghana next. They have 5 losses and 1 draw in their last 6. They're a really poor team, poor like opposition that they've played. They have 3 notable players in Thomas Partey, IU, but they're both so far past it. It's unreal. And they have Fatawu, who plays, I think, for Leicester, right wing, again, inconsistent. I don't think it's going to be enough. They're going to sit back and try and counter, but they're just not good at all, quite honestly. Similar, Panama are slightly harder to work out for me. I struggle to work out this team. They're not good at all, but how bad are they? They drew with Bosnia, they had narrow defeats to Mexico. I don't recognise any of their players, but shouldn't have enough to qualify. As I mentioned, I think, as a summary, I think England first, Croatia second, Panama. I think Panama might come third and Ghana fourth. Those last two are interchangeable. Kind of flip a coin in that matchup. Actually, they play on a. I'm interested that they've got Panama as such an underdog. I don't think they do. Do they have it? No. I'd love to know what the spread is on Panama. It's minus 475. Do you want to lay that kind of juice on Panama? But I think plus 1.5 for Panama could be a pretty good angle. But yeah, I've got England and Croatia. You can get plus 120 for that order. So England first, Croatia second. Or what I really like is minus 270 for them both to be in the top 2. So it doesn't matter if Croatia finish first and England second or vice versa. Minus 270 feels like a really generous piece considering I basically don't give Ghana or Panama any kind of chance in troubling those top 2. The only thing is obviously when they play each other first, whoever loses that game is then under pressure to win the next 2 games if it's not a draw. So yeah, I really like it at minus 270. As I mentioned, that wraps up the video for all the groups. If you want to go back and watch some of the older videos, I'm going to try and do some videos for individual match days. Don't know how likely that's going to be, but we'll definitely, as a minimum, do something probably before the last World Cup game or for the next round after this, where they progress and we have different matchups for the knockout football. If you have any other questions, videos you want, any of that kind of stuff, drop a comment, message me on X, Discord, any of that fun stuff. And as always, if you want to come to my link me, you'll get all my socials, link to the spreadsheets in here, link to my DubClub is the top one, where you can get the best bets and hopefully the ones we're all going to profit on over the next month, including the World Cup and Wimbledon. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff, and I will see you next time.